All right. Check 1, check 2. This is it. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Hour. With your host, me, Rob Cantrell, coming back again with episode 204. A day late, but not $1 short, because the podcast is for free. So remember to subscribe to the YouTube and like whatever podcast you're listening to. I don't know. People are jamming on Spotify. People are jamming on iTunes. I mean, it's all good. Please rate it. Write it up. Say this guy's high out of his mind. And fun as hell to listen to. I love doing this podcast. I love making the beats, experimenting with the music, having guests on. I love seeing you guys. The numbers are going up. And I just appreciate it, man. I look forward to doing this every week. I got possibly one of the best cups of coffee ever in front of me. I cooked it up with my Chemex. Now, I don't know if you know the Chemex or if you're new to this podcast, but I've evolved. Life is all about evolving and changing and growing. And, I used to pound espressos. I used to do I was French press for years. And before that, it was just straight store. I would just waste my money going to the store. And then we had a coffee maker. I would make coffee. But it was kind of generic. I didn't know how to blend the beans. But eventually I started blending beans, like crushing fresh beans. Because that makes a difference. If you have fresh beans, same thing with cannabis. With me and cannabis, I love freshly grown outdoor great cannabis. And it's the market is so flooded right now that it's hard to differentiate out there, especially on the East Coast. Like what I've noticed, it's either like super indoor, which happened through the 90s, and it's just like that super crystal, all that, the white crystals and all that stuff, which is high-end indoor growing, and it has a certain taste. It almost tastes like, when I smoke it now, it almost tastes like incense. It's like so pungent. But the outdoor grown isn't as pungent. It doesn't have that, oh my God, as soon as you smell it, your eyes cross. The outdoor sun stuff, the ones that are grown like vegetables, like I really consider like cannabis more like pushing towards kale, It's, it's, and the Rastafarian, the lamb's bread, it's like, the Jesus bread. It's like, it's what gets you through the hard times. And I have to say, with all honesty, yeah, cannabis has gotten me through a lot of I don't know, I was just geared for a lot of stress, being raised by a single mom, dad dying early, when I was 10. Not that I'm crying about, everything works out. I've had an awesome life, and my childhood was awesome. My dad was awesome. Shit goes down. You learn, you grow. But coming up through the 90s and 80s, in your 20s and your 30s, and figuring out corporate America, and then figuring out comedy, I got a real job right out of college because I thought that's what I should do, which is, I had to make some fucking money. I wanted to move out of my mom's house. I was waiting tables for years before that. But then I found no happiness in that. And then I went head into, I was just like, man, I'm a creative weirdo. I need to go head into that lane. And when I arrived in San Francisco, I just started doing stand-up comedy. I just looked at the paper. I always had a sense that I could pull it off, but I knew how hard it was because I did respect it so much. And then when I saw it live, the first show I saw live, with modern stand-ups in 98, when I was right out of college, I saw stand-up before, Actually, I think, yeah, I said there's like a couple people that I saw, but always like, I did see like Bill Cosby at the Cap Center on a birthday. It was like he was completely clean and everything, but it was the 80s. I was born in 72. It was a big birthday thing. Some kid that I didn't really know. It was like a friend of a friend, but I ended up there. I remember that. And then I remember seeing, there was this guy that did Sniglets from Saturday Night Live, and it was in Roanoke, Virginia. I went over, and he was playing Roanoke College, and I was like 13. So I definitely had like stand-up nerd genes. I want to get this comic's name right because he's big in England right now, and he's super funny. And he was on Saturday Night Live, and he was on this show called Not Necessarily the News, and I know there's people just yelling the name into the headphones, but there's just so much stuff out there. Rich Hall. Yeah, Rich Hall. I paid money to go see Rich Hall. And that's when I was really thinking about going into stand-up when I was like 14, and I backed up. And then I didn't start till I was like 27. But how did I end up here, I guess, with cannabis? Yeah, because, it was when 27, it's very drinky. Your 20s, people are doing coke and people are getting drunk and it's cool and all that. But for me, I just had to super focus. And in San Francisco, they had great herb at the time, and they still do now. But in terms of the country, it was like, come on, man. That's where the Grateful Dead come out of, man. That's where Jerry Garcia came out of, man. But cannabis has been all over the world anyway, but it definitely, in terms of the 60s and the West Coast, just really had the cannabis culture down. Or just like in terms of American culture, cannabis was prevalent more in California for numerous reasons. One thing, that it's great and it helps you get through pain. I think stomach stuff, it always helped me with. I think anxiety and mostly just like chilling out after the show. It was so stressful, thinking about doing stand-up and writing it and all the anxiety. And then instead of getting completely shit-faced at the bar afterwards, I just loved getting, smoking a few bowls with a couple dudes or girls, kicking it, maybe having one or two drinks, and then calling it a night. And then as I grew older, it just got, more and more cannabis. But man, I just took a sip of this coffee. Back to the coffee. I got a packed glass bowl, perfect little packed little glass bowl, and a perfect, just a cup of coffee. Oh my God. I just tasted this. But this is, speaking of cannabis, and this is Ethiopian beans. This is Stumptown. Like my awesome brother-in-law signed up. I got like 6 months of like roaster's choice from Stumptown. And each month they send me a bag. And and I love Hairbender and all that shit. And even all those other ones that were the single origin ones. This seems to be the best tasting thing I've ever had. Doromana. I want to read you what this process is trippy, man. But yeah, this cup, oh my God. But yeah, this is Ethiopian Stumptown single source beans. Dude, a complex cup layered with notes of juicy peach, candied grapefruit, and black tea. Yeah, it's really like medium roasty. Oh my God. It just tastes really fresh because it just got sent from the roasting house. Let's see this roast date on here. Oh my God. Could that be right? 2-1. Because this was roasted like a week ago. 2-1. It is 2-3. It arrived on 2-2. Holy shit, man. This might be the freshest cup of Ethiopian bomb-ass like, their process is crazy. I'll just read their process because I read a little bit about this. Stumptown, I will please sponsor this podcast. I love your beans. It's not, I mean, that's the thing about coffee, even cannabis. There's just so much. That's what's so infinite about this podcast. And I do know the stuff because, I don't really drink booze. I just pretty much drink, let's say, a whole Chemex of coffee every day, tons of just like seltzer water, regular water. I've been doing vitamins in the morning. I've been doing my apple cider vinegar and a big glass of water in the morning. But the rest, it's just coffee and herb. Okay, this is called The Relationship. In 2010, coffee producers in the Jimma region of southwestern Ethiopia were selected by TechnoServe Coffee Innovative to receive technical assistance in financing to produce fully washed coffees. And from that, the Duramana Cooperative was formed. So I think they go into these third world, not third, I don't know if Ethiopia is third world. I mean, literally everybody, I don't want to down talk myself, but you will hear mistakes and mispronunciations. This is not, I'm a comedian and I'm, just kind of barreling through this myself. But, so I might pronounce things oddly. I'll do my best. Members of the Duramana Cooperatives cultivated coffee in small plots near their homes and deliver their harvest to a centralized site to be processed, dried, or on raised beds, and then hand sorted. Whoa. The level of care that every step in the process produces of one-of-a-kind coffee. Yeared partner, 2011. Growing region, the Jimma Zone. Variety, this is Ethiopian heirloom. Man, we're Stumptown, and we've been sourcing, roasting, and brewing direct trade coffee for 20 years. We are committed to coffee of the highest quality. For us, quality goes beyond the content of our cups and is linked to the love and respect we show to our producing partners, our customers, the planet, and each other. Thank you for having coffee with us. See, it's just so well written. Man, that is beautiful. Shout out. This was roasted in Queens. Shout out to Queens. I guess there's a roaster over there. But yeah, Ethiopia is trippy. So the only thing I know, I knew a girl from Ethiopia that I started comedy with, and she was cool. I've known some Ethiopians, and I know I want to go to Africa. I haven't been to Africa. I've been to Southeast Asia. I'm well traveled, but not crazy traveled. I've been to the Philippines. I've been to Indonesia. I've been to Mexico a few times. Been to Jamaica a few times, and I've been to Canada a few times. But I've never been to these are the places I really want to go. I want to go to Vancouver. I want to go to New Orleans, and I want to go to Australia. So if anybody in those regions enjoys the podcast, get at me, dog. As DMX once said, get at me, dog, at contact at Rob Cantrell. Or if you're high level, you can go with my management. If you're just some stoner that wants to try to book something and you're kind of legit, get at me, dog. I love that song, DMX. I don't know, the DMX stuff is violent. Like my sensitivity towards violence is just like really, especially with all this gun shit and the older, and once you have a family and shit, it's just like, man, I do not need any drama. There's enough drama than the mega drama. So try to quiet down the mega drama because we're all dealing with the regular drama. Gotta get tough. Gotta get rough. Doing podcasts, smoking herb, hanging out with my people. But yeah, so So that's for this podcast, I wanted to talk about Ethiopia and what I trip out about, because I do love, I'm just getting really deep back into reggae again, and especially the dub music, not from a culturally it's rich and dope, but almost like as background music and soothing music, you know, yeah, for some reason I'm going way deep into Grateful Dead, and maybe it's because I'm smoking weed. Grateful Dead, but I also got lost in a Bubba Sparks documentary the other day that was really good on YouTube. But shout out to Bubba Sparks. I always liked Bubba Sparks. I thought he had a good flow. In the Timberland beats, I always loved the Timberland beats. Just big fan. And yeah, the whole Nerd Squad, like those guys blew up almost to like top 40 level. So I know like a lot of hipsters may hate them, and I have friends like, Rack, but I'm just like, I'm from Virginia, or like DC and Virginia. I just know like to come out of that and be one of the tops is just like dope. Let's see. I was born in DC, raised in Virginia, as I say. But at the same time, a lot of like your backstory is cool and all. But I'm trying to not work from my ego as much. Or like what you think you are, which is all these different stories and all these different pasts. But the only thing is what I'm getting to is that everybody's longing for this connection or this unity. But within meditation, what I'm learning, it's already there. It's already in place. And it's almost the ego and the overthinking that creates the separation. So, I definitely believe in unity of all. Like we're all one big organism of love. Or that's what consciousness is. And that's what creates everything that we're looking at. I don't mean to maybe I should go back to the Bubba Sparks documentary. Because I bum out when I talk too spiritual. That's the only thing about spirituality and meditation. And I don't want to go too hocus pocus on a lot of this stuff, because everybody's in their own world, and whatever works for you isn't going to work for me, and whatever works for me isn't going to work for you. But you can learn and catch up on each other's vibes, and maybe you could pull and extract something that might work for you, if that makes sense. Oh man. So Ethiopia, what I was saying is Africa is popular right now, is popping right now. Yeah, I guess it's always pop, but it's so big. It's so many people. In America, we live kind of in this everybody lives in their own little island of mind and neighborhood and whatever. And the older I get, I just learn how big and big and big the world is, and how many people. I think the internet has shown that in more of a graphic way. Or maybe it's just me getting older and just seeing the tides and waves of people in my life coming and going. And that it's always been, even after I'm gone, it's going to be going and coming and coming and going, just tides of different people. And that's when you get to like, does the ego even matter, And then you realize it doesn't, and being your true self, which is a part of nature, and just being kind and nice and learning and fucking forgiving yourself and forgiving others and keeping it moving and enjoying the moment is kind of where my head's heading to these days. But Haile Selassie. I don't want to offend anybody. But yes, he's a part of the Rastafarian movement. When I was just in Jamaica, I do love the Rastafarian. It's more of going towards nature. And I think that is a part of deading the ego, is when you're in nature, and like whether you're hiking or skiing or surfing or even hunting, you get to that, I don't know, it's a higher level of consciousness. And you start to, all the drama starts to drop because you have to deal with nature. And we are a part of nature. I don't know. I guess, when I was over there and they said, I talked to some locals and they were telling me how the Rastafari come down from the mountain and sometimes like play drums. And I was like, man, that sounds dope, man. Just living off the fucking land and playing drums and, smoking good, sun-grown ganja and playing with your family and fishing. But it's hard. It's hard in the modern life. So I give respect and love. And I know, all of these things, all movements, all vibes, they don't work with everything and nothing's in the sense of like, I think there's something to learn from everything. And I think there's definitely something to learn from the Rastafari, especially with cannabis. And Hassi Alasi, what I believe he said something about cannabis being a healing of the nation. And I believe in the healing process of cannabis. But I do think, it's like anything. It could be overused or we're just learning. Nothing's good or bad. It's just learning. Like, that's what I'm learning. It is just what it is. And then you have to take away from what it is, if that makes any sense. Maybe we should just talk class. But that, Hassi Alasi, that is the Rastafarian movement, which Bob Marley was converted to. And it seemed to me those were like super just living off the land, strict vegetarian type of vibe, which I dig. I definitely have, like, one time in my life, I want to live kind of beach bummy. I don't want to live homeless or anything like that. I do just want to live at the a small surf shack and have a simple life down the line. But I could still do this podcast from that. A lot of the stuff, whether it's making music or stand-up comedy, what I'm learning about art is like you got to curate it and collect it your own. And make sure it's framed right, and make sure you own the rights, and the money doesn't come right away. But if you line it up, things start to line up. That's a lot about alignment. You got to get aligned with your purpose. Speaking of getting aligned with my purpose, let me fire up a little bit. Great. I got these sick toothpicks, bro. Mint tea tree oil. The thing about tea tree oil, like, that stuff is powerful, man. If you have a zit, a tea tree oil can just like cut a zit down within a day, is something I learned. And the smell is really strong, and it's good for your gums. So this thing, like, when I pick my teeth with this tea tree oil toothpicks, it like kind of gets the gums, massages them, and cleans them out, and my breath feels good. But the only thing is, I like the toothpick too much, and then the toothpick can get soggy, and then the toothpick can get splinters. Don't chew on a toothpick too long, or you'll get like splinters all in your throat, man. You want to hang on to a toothpick for a good about 2 to 5 minutes. But if you're nervous and you're chomping on that bad boy, you better get rid of it. I like it just to pick stuff out of my teeth. It's like the flossers I love, but I bum out about the amount of plastic that I'm throwing away because of the flossers. I've never been super green dude, recycle cat, but just as the older I get and as the planet's kind of doing this crazy thing right now, everybody's freaking out in New York because it's February and it hasn't snowed yet. But it snowed a little bit the other day. But it's freezing out there, man. It's like 26 degrees and then the sun is out, which is wild, which is not wild. That's kind of when you go out to that, like, you don't want to, like, at least it's not rainy cold. Like, I'd rather take stuff like this. It's just kind of, it definitely makes everything brighter. You ever been out or tighter? You ever been out in the cold and just everything's just like, it's like the molecules like go, like everything's just tighter. And then when it's hot, when you're at the beach, you ever look out and just like, the molecules are a lot looser. It's that constricting, it's just like breathing, everything's breathing. I've been working on my Vardic breath. I think that's what it's called. Like when I meditate, I won't go too deep in. I don't want to put anybody to sleep with this shit, but it is really simple. It's like 1, 2, 3 up the nose, and then a quick one out the nose. And this is supposed to align like your whole spine and everything up, and help your digestive system and your what's the other one that fights the germs? That other system, your immunity. It's like you breathe up through the nose, 1, 2, 3, and breathe down 1, and then hold for 1. So it's like, so in my mind, I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, all out my nose, like 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3 in, and then 1 quick 1 out. Pause. Supposedly it's like lines up your jaw into your back, like the whole thing's dope, and it's helped me just calm myself. Like I think everybody's getting into just like learning. I just really don't think we even know what being a human being is even about yet, man. There's so much stuff to learn. Like every day seems new to me sometimes. Like I get into my negative mind or my ego mind, but then when I flip it, I'm like, this seems all kind of new in a weird way. Once I open up to the fact of how dope it is to be alive, how dope it is to be alive, and just like, could be like, I'm just going to clean my desk. I'm going to check out these socks. I guess that deep appreciation, and appreciation builds up the good vibe juice. This is the good vibe juice. This Ethiopian dope ass coffee, man. Tracy. When I toured with Tracy Morgan, there was a minute that we may have gone to a South African comedy festival, and he was going to bring me part of the crew. So I was all excited about that. But I do know that I should try to keep tapping into the international stand-up. I never did, just because I got tons of shit going on here, not business-wise, but life-wise, man. Life-wise and business-wise. I've done stand-up in Amsterdam. I did the Cannabis Cup for High Times. That was a big one. Traveling to, when I got invited and performed. Slightly Stupid was there. Slightly Stupid. I didn't perform the same night as Slightly. I performed the same day as Slightly Stupid, but I performed during the daytime at their merch, at their a lot of times the Cannabis Cup is mostly the cannabis vendors, and they set up tents, so it's all the bowls and seeds and everything. Like this is all happening right now in America but I did this in 2007. Well, I saw it. It had been going on since like the 70s, and even before that. Cannabis is such a old thing, we think it's this behind the curtain hippy dippy thing, but really it's just this fucking deep rooted seed that's been in cultures forever and ever and ever. Because the thing I'm using now for my smoothie is hemp seed. I got this 10-pound bag of hemp seed from Costco, and I just pour a bunch of that into my banana peanut butter smoothie with the turmeric and the cinnamon and the honey, and then I hit it with the oat milk. But I put the hemp seed in there, and I have to say it really froths it. It makes the shake more frothy, more nutty. I like nutty. I got a big bag of cashews. I've been killing. I got this thing of cashews. The only thing about that stuff is I love them so much. Like those really spicy pistachios. Don't even get me around those things, man. They're like $9, $10 bags. and I'll kill it. I'll kill it right there, like they're Doritos. Like I'll just kill the whole thing, because they're so delicious. Especially that barbecue one. Oh man, that barbecue one. There's a spicy one that's a little too hot, but there's a barbecue flavored pistachio nut that they got, like the de-shelled. I'm talking about the de-shelled pistachios. What's that hiss? Oh, I think that's the radiator. Like I said, it's cold. Yeah. Just enjoying the hell out of this coffee. We've been listening to. I just watched this clip of the Rolling Stones and Chuck Berry. Ended up on that. And they were fighting, but you could tell that, those old rock and rollers, they were just, it wasn't that bad. It was just like musicians kind of cat fighting. Like, you get on my amp, it doesn't sound right. It's all about tone with rock and roll and guitars. I have been playing my acoustic guitar a lot more, and man, do I love it. And I'm not great at it. I shouldn't say that. You can't. I'm really trying to not like be negative to my mind. I'm doing my thing with guitar. I'm not trying to make $1 million out of it. I'm literally losing myself in it by playing it and kind of going off. It's just nice to be offline and kind of in the world, making your own vibrations. And then playing with those vibrations. Music is all like, I can't say all, but one of the things that I've noticed, it's literally playing with the vibration. You're kind of setting the tone. That's why I've always been like hesitant of death metal. I like some of it, but it's like for a full hour, do I want to feel that tone? Same thing, I guess, with, I do have a really eclectic feel. Even a lot of people are like, it's too much. But that's just where it's at, man. I just like new sounds, new vibes. I like switching it up. But I always go back to the original. Like right now, I've been watching these DC Go-Go, straight up Go-Go documentaries, part 1 and part 2. And it's STR number 8 up. If you want to, that is some crazy DC musical culture. And the weird thing is, it's very, like, the drum all goes back to Africa. Drumming, but it also goes back to the human heartbeat. Like, I think it's just soothing. There's something about deep dub reggae and drum and bass that it does, like, can reconfigure the molecules of your vibe, of consciousness. You could tell if you're, that's why people listen to, just slow music and all that. I remember my one friend from high school, huge hip hop friend. He's two years old. I looked up to him. He was awesome. He became a doctor. He's a super smart dude. He was half Native American, interesting cat. But we used to listen to hip hop like nonstop, and like he had all the best shit. And I remember he became a doctor, and he was like, "Rob, I don't listen to hip hop anymore. It's too aggressive. Like I can't, and I got it. And this must have been back when we were in our 30s or whatever, when I ran back into him. But I told him, he was like, I listened to Allman Brothers and Grateful Dead, man. I know it's just good to chill, but it's also good to pop off. It's fun. That's the other thing, is like everybody has their own thing. Like, what was I looking at? Like I saw this like some weird like emo genre, and I was like, this thing is terrible. And then I looked at the views, and it was like 2 billion views, and I was like, holy shit, 2 billion motherfuckers love this whack ass shit. But I've said that about other things that I've seen in the past, and then I ended up liking them. So, who am I? Oh, but I gotta say, I'm drinking who am I? I'm drinking a good piece of coffee. Some of the best coffee. Bravo. I guess the single source thing with Stumptown, like Stumptown always has just either like Headbanger or Holler Mountain. They had like 4 like, flavors of coffee, a couple others, and they started going off. And then they started doing the single roast where they started going to countries and developing relationships with the communities. And the bag is designed and it has this gold trim. It's fucking dope. But this is, out of all the coffees, this is probably because it's just like fresh. It got roasted the day before. These beans got hand picked in Ethiopia. Like, good God. It's all the way around the world. And for me to sit here and then put it into my super Chemex, I was looking at the Chemex today. It's super like chemistry. It literally is like a chemistry vase. So it, like this morning, I was like, it does feel like I'm cooking meth or crack here. Not really, but it is it's a process. But it is the best process and the healthiest process in terms of having paper filtered coffee. It has less cholesterol. So it's a little bit better for your heart is what I've been told. But again, I'm a goofball comedian, and I don't want to say, like, that's a lot of podcasts, and then they talk all crazy. But at the same time, I really am. That's what I do. And I write. I'm working on scripts right now. A lot of that is focusing. I saw a great meme that pretty much 98% of script writing is not looking at the internet, which is pretty much spot on. But yeah, I do want to go. I haven't seen the new Eddie Murphy. These are the things I should see and report on you guys next week, is my opinion or whatever. I haven't seen the new Eddie Murphy movie on Netflix. I need to do that. And then there's a new documentary on hip hop. I saw him do interviews by Chuck D, and I'm looking forward to checking that out. I saw some clips, but it looks like they got interviews with Eminem and all, and coming from like that's a source I can trust, is Chuck D. I don't know, as an artist, you just know he's kind of speaking his own truth, whether it's this or that, but where he's coming from. I guess that's what I've been thinking about a lot as being a comedian or being an artist, being an actor. There's a stage self and then your true self. And in meditation, there's like your true self and then your ego self. And your stage self is kind of like your super ego. So it's a little tricky, But I do know if you make the art from your true self and it lasts and it's true and people dig it. So I hope you guys, that's kind of the goal on the Cannabis Coffee Hour. Like, I do love running and gunning. The weird thing is I do know that the solo episodes are doing just as well as some of the guests. So I think I flow a little bit on the solo episodes, and you guys like I just need to keep the consistency and maybe try it out at a couple of different other places, and and try some different herbs and different coffees, and do it safely and sanely. Like this podcast, I may take 2 bowl hits, and that's about it. And then ramble on a little bit, and then talk about the coffee, and talk about Rastafari, and talk about Grateful Dead. Well, I have written down Rolling Stones and Chuck Berry. I want to talk about that. Grateful Dead, did we talk about any Grateful Dead? I guess I've just been, I do know that Garcia has a cannabis company. I do want to try them. I do know that they're credible and really good. Like, you can always, if in terms of cannabis, since this is the Cannabis Coffee Hour, the brands that you can always, like, you know, I would say Trixie Garcia has Garcia Cannabis. If you ever get a chance to be around that, that's going to be some of the best cannabis out there. And so will be Willie Nelson's. Willie Nelson has a really credible company, and he cares about, they care about the product, and they know the product, and they're doing it from the right place at the right time, and it's just fucking exciting, man. I do get excited about how legal it is. I'm sorry, like, I know it's freaking some people out, you know, and like, Tucker Carlson's going after it. I don't want to get political, and I don't want to separate, you know, just like, dude, for real, you're going to go after, you know, that's the one thing that's going good around here. But I do know homelessness, like, I think they're going to probably try to link it to homelessness and stuff like that. And, but I really think that's hard drugs and mental illness. And cannabis, you know, if you're mentally ill, you shouldn't take psychedelics or cannabis, you know. I would say meditate, and talk to a doctor. The meditation is the one thing that's helped me the most, I have to say. And I'm just saying that if anybody's like struggling with overthinking and getting too much anxiety, because I know puff and herb, you do, you know, that absorbs a lot of your day, and then you got a couple other things going on. But if you can just meditate before everything starts for like 20 minutes, and it's really just practicing being quiet, and it's a powerful fucking tool when shit pops off and you have to deal with the situation. Like, it's not going to solve it, but it's going to give you a few seconds, is what I've learned by doing it the last few years. And it's helped, you know, kind of just like, you know, all the tense shit that's going on right now. And I think, I think cannabis is linked, because I think there is, like, you know, with me just talking about all this shit, there is this inner dialogue or this, you know, thing going on. But with linking it with yoga and meditation, you know, and using them as kind of a way as to grow older gracefully and still have a lot of fun in life, you know, with all the pains and riffs and rafts as things go on. When you're young, you're strong, but at the same time, you know, their heads are all scrambled too from all the social media and stuff like that. So I do think, like, yeah, social media and all that is like reflecting a need to learn to just quiet it. And then you could focus, and then you can broaden the awareness. In broadening the awareness, if you have positive vibes, the awareness is going to pick up positive shit that can help you out, is what I'm kind of leaning into. Bubba Sparks, we talked about him. Thailand. Like, I got to take this a Cannabis Coffee Hour to Thailand. I went to Thailand in 1998. I was 27 years old. I already worked a real job. I graduated college for 3 years, and then I quit. I saved up 10 grand because I moved back home, and I didn't go out. I didn't party. I just worked this real job and just stocked cash and then moved. But before I moved, I didn't even move. I just jumped. And I drove. First, I went to Chicago and visited my friend Bob. And then I went to Aspen, Colorado, where I had a bunch of friends that were living right out of college that were still there. And they had apartments and I could crash. So I crashed at this one dude's apartment underneath the liquor store. He was working at the liquor store, and he got this cool apartment underneath it from working at the liquor store. And I did crash on the couch there for like 3 weeks. And I just hung out and drank and partied with those guys and learned to snowboard, and I snowboarded there. And then I went to California, and then I went to Thailand. Then I went to northern Thailand. I rode an elephant bareback. That's what I have a picture of I was going to post. But not braggadocious. It was just like I had this office job and I envisioned surfing, and my friends were skiing and in Colorado from college. Not all of them, but a bunch of them that my stoner friends a lot of them were hanging out there at least a year, or living there. And then, and then surfing, I was always a strong swimmer, and just the vibe of surfing. I still watch surf videos. Like I can surf, I've gotten up, but I never I guess I owned a board a little bit. And I had a snowboard. Yeah, from Lombardi's. I used to work at this outdoor store in San Francisco, right when I moved to San Francisco. Yeah, so I traveled all around Thailand. I went to northern Thailand. And then we went to Bali for a whole month. I surfed in Bali and learned how to surf in Bali. And then I went to San Francisco in 1999, landed with like $100 left. But my friends put me up in a room. And then I started working a job at an outdoor store, and they had a snowboard department. It was cool. It was called Lombardi's Sports, and there was like a skate department, there was like a bike department, there was a camping department, and then there was a snowboard department. And they put me in the camping department. So I sold tents and shit, but it was next to all the other dudes. And those were some of the funniest, coolest cats that I ever hung out with. And then I started doing stand-up at night, but I didn't tell anybody. I just kept it low and just kept it going bombing at open mics at coffee shops for like 3 or 4 years. But 3 years, and then I got on Last Comic Standing. But after a year and a half, I started getting better. I'm still, stand-up's hard as hell. It's all about doing it, I had a show last night, but I got canceled, I think, because of the cold. It was just late, way out in Brooklyn. But there's like epic cold spell out there. I'm laying low. I'm doing a podcast about coffee and cannabis here on the... I'm not moving. I'm laying low. But I do got to get my steps in. I do got to walk around. But the thing about being in New York, you're always walking around. You're always walking. You're always on the move. But I think the people were just wising up that having an active lifestyle will definitely make you live longer, especially at my age. But I just don't want to blow anything out. But I do think just wearing gym suits and working out and doing something active. That's why I think about moving to a beach town. I can't wait to take this podcast out to these weird beach towns. The possibilities is so infinite, I gotta just stay healthy and get some gas, smoke some herb, drink some coffee, make some beats, and keep it moving. I appreciate everybody. Thanks for listening. Let's do it again next week. Peace. I'm out.